Greetings! In today's video, I have more Trailmakers creations that I've made, and let's get into it. I don't really have a preamble. You guys seem to have liked the last one of these that I've made. I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to do with that specific piece of information, but I'm just gonna keep doing stuff. And hopefully it's not bad. So, this is the Insight carrier. It's modeled after the helicarriers that Captain America fights and blows up in the Winter Soldier movie. But obviously, it's got a very specific spin to it. It's got a whole lot of automated guns, and they just aim at whatever they happen to aim at, and I can turn them on like that, and they will burst fire in sequence so that they don't run out of ammo. And then on the chin, there's a mounted turret that's much the same, except I have control over that. It flies not very well. It is a boat after all. It can land in the water because it's made out of hull blocks. It flies similar to most of the other spaceships that I've made. And now it's pretending to be a boat. Yeah. A few interesting things that I did. I used decals to break up the big uniform shape. That's always helpful. I added a whole bunch of lighting so that it can simulate runway lights for things that are supposed to land on it, although the guns are very much in the way of that. And I did use the decal trick on the glowing LED screens to make what simulates an eye on the side. And it has like an antenna array. I've been messing around with various different communications arrays designs, as I will show you shortly, because I've been looking to see which designs work better. The second creation is going to be this thing. The inspiration for this very peculiar creature, which is shaking aggressively at the moment, is a walker in an anime that a friend of mine suggested I look up. It looked cool enough, I decided that I wanted to attempt to make something that would scuttle along the ground in such fashion. My friend also said that the intention would be for this walker to be quite fast, and so, you know. And so we did try experimenting with different sorts of animations for a while, and this seems to work rather well. Well, the issue, as you saw right there, is that the legs get eaten by the ground. The ground doesn't like them very much, so every once in a while they will just snap off aggressively. Other than that, it works pretty okay. I would say. Yeah, not much else to note. It just runs around in circles. Not in circles, actually. I have a compass in there, making sure that it's directionally stable. But yeah, it's got this simulation engine in the back, with puffing smoke out, and it does that with its free time. Yeah, it just shakes aggressively. Regardless, the next creation is the sabre from Star Citizen. It is a swept wing fighter design, I believe. While it's landed, this is the configuration for the landing gear. It's quite simple. I don't have that much complexity left to play with once I've built all of this. So yeah. If I press 2, I can open the canopy. And then I press X to take off. This flies very different from most other spaceships that I've built. because it has virtually no stabilization. I have a toggle on 3 that automatically stabilizes its roll, but it's toggleable, and if I turn it off, it just will hold whatever position I put it in. And so I had to add yaw into this on separate controls, which means the Q and E are taken up, and it's a little bit confusing because I'm used to having Q and E bound to other things, but I'm slowly but surely getting used to controlling this kind of a spaceship. It maneuvers really tight. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it can turn on a dime, essentially. It can point its nose wherever it wants because it's a spaceship. And that might win it quite a few dogfights. In addition to that, one can sweep the wings out more, and that's fun. That's very fun. Yeah. It flies around, it's satisfying to fly with. I shall now move on to a car. This is particularly interesting to me because I have not made a car in a very long time, and I don't repute myself as a very good car builder. I specialize in spaceships, as you all might know, and and flying boats. I'll turn the time of day up so it's brighter, and you can see the details better on this vehicle. It's not very special at all, as in its performance is probably average. It doesn't have the best turning. It can do a J-turn, which is a thing I'm happy with, and then immediately drive off the edge of the carrier. And it has really cool aesthetics on its headlights and its tail lights. Other than that, obviously a whole bunch of panel gaps, and it's too small of a living area inside. Those are a lot of criticisms that I specifically asked a few of my friends to give me so that I could improve on the design. And I shall show you the next iteration of car that I built. This is very much better already. So I did try a few different headlight designs, a few different tail light designs. I added in a bit more glow in different places. I increased the size of the living space inside the car. I added a spoiler, and I tried a few things with how the spoiler moves when I turn. And this is already a better design, as in it's more complete. However, I went back to my friends and I asked them to critique it again, and they were still annoyed with the panel gaps. They suggested a few solutions for how to get the wheel caps, or the wheel hubs. Is that what you call them? Wheel hubs? I think so. The parts that are around the wheels. To get those better, I got some suggestions for how to attach the spoiler in a more organic manner, and a couple other things. And so we move on to the final car that I made, the third iteration, where I essentially took into consideration as much of the critique as I could possibly manage. I went back and reused the best of the headlight designs that I'd come up with, which was incidentally the first one. With the taillights, I tried a different solution, which I really, really like. I reduced the panel gaps in the body to basically 0. And, well, this is aesthetically awesome. Basically no complaints. It's not the most stable thing in the world because it has so many hinge glitches and piston glitches going everywhere in order to give it the most cohesive shape that I could. Yeah, it performs all right, and it's a dream to look at. And that makes me very, very happy. The next creation is going to be the 8A Lightning from Star Citizen. Again, another ship that I really like the shape of, but I know virtually nothing about. It performs actually better than the sabre, because for some reason it sometimes decides to lightly pitch up rather than aggressively pitch down. So sometimes it does that on its own, but that's a lot more manageable than nosediving. This one has 2 seats. The canopy opens like this, and of course you can take off. What would be the gunner has control obviously over the mounted turret. I don't know if in Star Citizen this is a turret per se. I don't know. I'm confused as to whether this is actually a 2-seater or if I just added in a second seat and a turret for no reason. Regardless, I like having a second seat because then I can go pick people up with it. And yeah. I yoinked some logic off of one of my friend's creations, which allows me to use both mouse buttons, and therefore I have them bound each to an array of guns, which means that they can be independently fired. And other than that, there's not much else to consider. It just, yeah, it looks cool, it flies okay. It's got no drag glitch because it's a 700 complexity creation as is. And I could not add 1 block if I wanted to. Yes, pretty much. All right, very quickly, before I show the final creation, I made this, or I repurposed this. This is an old creation. It's a drone tower, but I improved the design of the drones drastically since I've made it. So I thought it would be interesting to just showcase how it works. It's very, very simple. You just press 1 button and it does everything itself. The drones will fly up and they will start doing their reconnaissance pattern, and they will go inspect things very, very carefully. The final creation for today is not this walker. This is a very old walker. It's, I think, the 3rd or 4th walker that I ever made, and I'm still really proud of it, but it's got a few problems with it. And since I've gotten better, I thought I'd take a crack at making a new version. The story of this walker is very interesting. There's a YouTuber called Boyle Hobby Time, and he scratch built a model of this mech. It's called the Wandering Watchtower. You can find it on YouTube, and I do suggest you go check it out because it's awesome. Then a Space Engineers creator by the name of Black Armor saw that video and built his version of the Caribou mech inside Space Engineers. And then I saw both of those and decided I was going to attempt to build one in Trailmakers. So the point is, this walker is very storied and very old, and I thought I could do better now. Therefore, this is the new version. It doesn't have a name yet. It's evidently not the Wandering Watchtower or the Caribou mech. I'm gonna need something new for it. So if anybody has any ideas, I'm all ears. So the reason I made a new version is because the other one was entirely basically thruster powered. It has gimbals in it, it has a lot of helicopter engines keeping it stable. This mech, on the other hand, doesn't need any assistance whatsoever to move forward. It has 2 helicopter engines, one for directional control, so hooked into a compass, and the other one obviously hooked into an angle sensor to keep it upright. But other than that, it has no power assistance for forward movement. I also got a whole lot better at using decals and aesthetic things of various nature. So I will posit that this one does look a whole lot better than the other one. Not the smoothest walking animation, however, considering it's not thruster assisted, I am very, very happy with it. And it doesn't bounce around all too much. And I was attempting some designs of antenna arrays. As you can see in the front, there's a whole bunch of blinking lights, and that lantern sticking out at the front hopefully gives a good idea of something that might be either transmitting or picking up signals from the long voyages that this thing goes on with its cargo and stuff like that. And there you go. That has been a bunch of assorted creations that I've made in Trailmakers over the last 2 weeks, 1.75 weeks. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't really expect anybody to be watching these videos, but evidently the last one has had a lot of eyes on it. And that is definitely not panicking at all. I'm not worried. I'm not nervous. It's fine. It's alright. Hopefully everybody enjoys, and I will see you in the future.